Welcome back, everyone, to Neural Intel. Today, we're diving straight into something pretty interesting on the technical front in AI and machine learning.
What have we got?
Amazon Q Developer in SageMaker Canvas. Now, this isn't just, another announcement. It seems like a tool really engineered to fundamentally change how ML models get built, trained, and deployed.
That's right. And our goal today really is to dig into the technical side, understand how this thing works under the hood, and maybe more importantly, what its capabilities actually mean for developing AI applications in practice. We're focusing squarely on the tech.
Absolutely. And the core idea, the thing that really jumps out, is letting users, even those without, say, deep ML expertise, create and use models using just natural language. That feels like a pretty big shift, doesn't it?
It really does. It lowers the barrier significantly.
So let's start there. What's the big challenge, the problem that this Amazon Q developer is trying to address?
Well, think about the traditional way of doing things. Building predictive models historically required quite a lot of specialized knowledge.
Right. Data science skills, knowing algorithms.
Exactly. Expertise in data science, different ML algorithms, plus you really needed to understand the specific business context inside and out. It wasn't trivial.
Definitely not something you could just, pick up over a weekend.
Not at all. And the whole development cycle, from getting your hands on the data to having a working, deployed model that could easily stretch into days, sometimes weeks.
Okay, so a significant time investment and expertise barrier. Makes sense why something like Q Developer would be needed. So tell us a bit more about it. What exactly is it?
Sure. So Amazon Q Developer in SageMaker Canvas became generally available February 28th, 2025. This was after a preview period that started back at re.invent in 2024.
Okay.
And fundamentally, it's a generative AI-powered assistant. The key thing is it's integrated directly into SageMaker Canvas.
And the big draw, the key differentiator.
The headline feature, really, is its promise. Building and deploying ML models potentially in just minutes using natural language.
Wow, okay. Minutes using natural language.
Yeah.
It's bold. How does that actually work from a user's perspective? Can you walk us through that experience?
Yeah, so the primary interaction method is basically a chatbot interface. You, the user, describe your business problem in plain English.
Just like talking to a colleague.
Pretty much, yeah. You explain what you want to predict or classify, and then, crucially, you attach the relevant data sets that contain the information the model needs to learn from.
Okay, can you give us a concrete example, maybe something relatable?
Sure. Let's say you're a credit risk analyst. Your job is to figure out if a loan applicant is likely to default or not based on their financial data.
Makes sense.
You might tell Q Developer something like, I need to classify loan applicants as default or not default based on their income, credit score, and outstanding debt. Then you'd point it towards the data set holding all that customer information.
Simple enough description. And the data itself, where can that come from? Is it flexible?
It's pretty flexible, actually. You can use data sets already stored in Amazon S3 or pull from Amazon Redshift, your data warehouse. It also connects to standard SQL databases, even Snowflake.
What about local files, like a spreadsheet?
Yep, you can also just upload local files, like CSV, directly from your computer.
Good to have options. Are there any specific rules for how that data needs to be formatted? What does Q Developer expect?
Yes, there are some requirements. It needs tabular data. Think rows and columns, like a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Very importantly, you need a target column.
That's the thing you want to predict.
Exactly. In the loan example, that's the column saying default or not default.
Yeah.
And then you need feature columns. Those are the inputs the model uses, like income, credit score, etc.
Got it. Target and features. Anything else?
Just one specific case. If you're doing time series forecasting predicting future trends, you also need a column with timestamps so it understands the sequence.
All right, makes sense for time-based data.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've described my problem, provided the data. What happens next? You mentioned this agentic system. What does that actually mean in this context?
Right, the agentic system. It's a way of describing Q Developer as an autonomous system that acts on your behalf to accomplish the goal building the model.
So it takes initiative.
In a sense. The main interface for this agent is a large language model, an LLM. That's what processes your natural language instructions and talks back to you.
Okay, the LLM understands me. But how does the system keep track of everything? The data location, the problem type, all those details to actually build the model.
That's where this concept they call a non-volatile memory block comes in. As the agent gathers information from you and analyzes the data, it stores these intermediate findings.
Like what?
Things like, okay, the data set is in S3 at this location. The user wants to solve a classification problem. This column is the target. These other columns are the features, and maybe even the initial idea for a loss function, which we can talk about more.
And how is all that information managed? It sounds like it could get messy.
It's structured quite cleverly, actually. They describe this memory block as a dependency graph.
A graph, like nodes and connections.
Exactly. Think of each piece of information, problem type, target column, data location as a node. The connections show how these variables relate. The neat part is this structure helps the agent infer missing pieces.
How so?
Well, if it knows you want to predict a binary outcome, like yes, no, using certain features, it can deduce, this is probably a binary classification task, even if you didn't explicitly state it. It fills in the blanks using the graph.
That's quite sophisticated. So it uses this graph to understand the task. How does it then decide what kind of ML task it is? Does it figure that out automatically?
Yes, that's another automated step. Based purely on your natural language description and maybe looking at the target column's data type, QDeveloper automatically identifies the ML task.
Like classification versus regression.
Right. Binary classification, multi-class classification, regression predicting a number, or time series forecasting. It figures out which one fits the problem you described.
And once it knows the task, it needs to know how to measure success during training, right? The loss function.
Precisely. And QDeveloper doesn't just pick one, it actually suggests suitable loss functions for that specific ML task.
Suggests. So I have some visibility.
Yeah, it gives you options and explains them a bit. For classification, it might suggest things like cross-entropy loss, but also mention metrics like accuracy, F1 score, precision, recall.
And for other tasks.
For regression, you'd likely see suggestions like mean squared error, MSE, mean absolute error, MAE, maybe R squared. For time series forecasting, it could be MSE again, or maybe MAE, mean absolute scaled error, or MAPE, or even weighted quantile losses, depending on the goal.
Okay, so it's guiding you towards the right way to evaluate the model for your specific problem. That's helpful.
Yeah.
How does it guide the user through the rest of the workflow then? It can't just run off on its own entirely, can it?
No, it definitely guides you. While it automates heavily, it presents the most logical next steps as clickable buttons in the interface.
So it simplifies navigation.
Exactly. It makes moving through data prep, model building, training much more straightforward. You click the suggested next action.
Almost like a wizard interface, but driven by the AI agent.
Kind of, yeah. And it also provides what they call next query suggestions. These are prompts designed to help identify if any crucial information is still missing about your dataset or the prediction task itself.
So it proactively asks for clarification.
Right. Before it jumps into heavy lifting, it tries to ensure it has all the necessary details, making the whole process smoother for you.
Okay, information gathered, task understood. Now, data preparation. This is usually a big hurdle. What does QDeveloper do automatically here?
This is a really key part. Behind the scenes, QDeveloper automatically constructs a data pre-processing pipeline. You don't code this, it builds it for you.
And the goal of this pipeline?
The main goal is to automatically fix common issues in the data set to ensure you're training on high-quality data. Garbage in, garbage out, right?
Definitely. So what kind of issues can it fix automatically?
Several common ones. Data cleaning is a big one, handling missing values. It might fill them using statistical methods, for example.
Okay. Yes.
It performs categorical feature encoding, turning text labels like high, medium, low into numbers the model can understand. It also does outlier handling, identifying and dealing with extreme values that might distort the model, and it removes duplicate rows or columns.
So it handles a lot of the typical data janitorial work automatically. What if I, as the user, want to understand my data before all that happens? Can I ask questions?
Absolutely. You can ask follow-up questions directly in the chat interface, things like what percentage of values are missing in the income column, or how many outliers did you detect?
And can I explore it more deeply?
Yes, there's an integration with SageMaker Data Wrangler. This lets you do more advanced analysis and visualization. You can really dig into the data distributions, and later you can use it to explore model metrics and understand feature importance too.
That data wrangler integration sounds powerful for users who want to go beyond the automated steps. Okay, data prepped. Let's talk model building. It uses AutoML, you said. What does that actually entail here?
Right, AutoML, automated machine learning. So instead of you picking one algorithm, Amazon QDeveloper trains and evaluates an ensemble of multiple ML models.
An ensemble, like a team of models.
Exactly. This team might include popular gradient boosting models like XGBoost, CatBoost, LightGBM, but also simpler linear models and even potentially some neural networks depending on the problem.
So it tries a bunch of different approaches.
Yes, and it doesn't just train them once. After the initial training, these individual models or submodels go through hyperparameter optimization (HPO).
Tuning the knobs of the models.
Precisely. Hyperparameters are the settings that control how a model learns. HPO automatically fine-tunes these settings for each model in the ensemble, trying to squeeze out the best possible predictive performance.
And all of this, picking the models, creating features, potentially tuning them, is abstracted away from me as the user.
Completely. Both feature engineering, which is creating new predictive variables from existing ones, and that whole hyperparameter search process are fully automated by the AutoML system. It's designed to be hands-off for the user at this stage.
Okay, quite a bit happening under the hood there. So we've gone from natural language to this optimized ensemble model. What happens when it's trained? How do I actually use it?
Once training is complete, you've got a couple of main options. First, you can immediately use the trained ensemble model to make predictions on a separate test dataset data the model hasn't seen before to evaluate its performance.
See how well it generalizes.
Right. And second, and this is key for actually using it, you can deploy the model as a SageMaker inference endpoint with just a few clicks.
An endpoint. So it becomes like a web service I can call.
Exactly. Other applications can then send new data to this endpoint and get predictions back in real time.
Very cool. Now, is it just a black box giving answers, or can I understand why it's making certain predictions? You mentioned explainability earlier.
That's a crucial piece. It's not just a black box. QDeveloper automatically generates an explainability report once the model is trained.
And what's in that report? Why is it important?
It's super valuable. It helps you understand the characteristics of your data set, provides feature attribution scores, basically telling you how much each input feature influenced the model's predictions. It gives insights into the model training process itself, and it clearly lays out the performance metrics.
So it helps build trust and understand the drivers.
Absolutely. Even if you're not an ML expert, you can get a decent sense of why the model is predicting what it is. That's vital for actually trusting and using the model responsibly.
It really does seem crucial for practical adoption. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground: the natural language input, the agentic system, automated task ID and preprocessing, the AutoML ensemble, deployment, and explainability. Pulling it all together, what's the main takeaway here?
I think the really significant thing, the bottom line, is that Amazon QDeveloper and SageMaker Canvas marks a pretty major step towards democratizing machine learning. It significantly lowers those technical barriers we talked about at the start.
Making it accessible to more people.
Exactly. Empowering a broader range of users to actually apply predictive analytics in their day-to-day work without needing that deep, specialized ML background.
And it feels like that combination of the easy-to-use natural language front end with that quite sophisticated agentic system, the AutoML, doing the heavy lifting behind the scenes. That's the magic formula, maybe.
I think so. You have the intuitive interaction, but it's backed by this intelligent agent, automated data handling, powerful model building through AutoML, and crucially, the explainability to understand the results. It really streamlines turning data into insights.
Yeah, and the technical depth we touched on, like that dependency graph, managing the problem state, the ensemble methods in AutoML, it really highlights that there's some serious engineering making this user-friendly experience possible.
Definitely. It's not just a simple wrapper. There's complex technology enabling that simplicity. This deep dive shows it's not just another tool, but potentially a new paradigm for how people interact with ML development.
So the final thought maybe for our listeners,
Yep.
as tools like Amazon QDeveloper become more common, how might that change the speed and the scope of AI development in different fields? What kinds of new technical possibilities open up when you put these capabilities into the hands of, well, almost anyone with data?
That's the really interesting question, isn't it? It certainly suggests a potential acceleration and broadening of AI applications. Definitely something to mull over.
Indeed. Well, this has been incredibly insightful, really digging into the technical mechanics of Amazon QDeveloper. Thanks for walking us through it.
My pleasure. It's definitely a fascinating development to watch in the ML space.